Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:06 this Tuesday morning in your nation's capital, and we are flying through this very busy news cycle at lightning speed. What with the dismissal of criminal charges against President Trump and the questioning of whether the appointment of Jack Smith as a special counsel was even constitutional in the first place. Take that to the ongoing Republican National Convention, where yesterday we learned who President Trump's running mate will be, J.D. Vance, for re-election in 2024. We've got you covered all ways to Sunday. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'll have to ask Chuck Schumer. Coming up at 7:35, Brent Bozell will join us, and at 8:05, Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. That's coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor. She's Julie Gunlock. And now, you remember last time we spoke with Tony Sabio. He is a retired member of the United States Navy. He is a retired CIA operative, a retired Secret Service agent. He is, in fact, the most interesting man in the world. And when we last spoke with him, he was running for school board, which that would have been the most dangerous job you had. But today we call on Tony to draw on his Secret Service experience to lend some insight into the historic happenings of Saturday, the 13th day of July. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Larry, and Julie. Thank you guys for having me. And yes, last year we talked. I was running for school board, and now coming on the show with you, talking about something that should have never happened, and it was the most dreadful thing that I've seen from all my experience.
You've had several days to look at this, and why don't you, just in order of priority for you, what sticks out the most to you in terms of what could have, should have, and would have been prevented under other times?
Well, when I was looking at what was happening, and my phone was getting blown up because people want some insight of why did this happen. There's definitely lapse in security with something being so close with direct line of sight. And when I started looking and really diving in on the processes and looking at the amount of security, Secret Service security that President Trump has, you can see that they have to start augmenting certain positions to local authorities. Now, these men in blue are phenomenal, men and women in blue, I'm sorry. They're phenomenal, but they're not trained to the same level of Secret Service. They're law enforcement. Law enforcement is more reactive. We're Secret Service, and in protective operations, you're looking for the possible threats to mitigate this so it doesn't happen. And then once everything started coming out and things are getting pushed forward through the news, you're seeing exactly what I saw back on Saturday. And it's a failure within the system, and it's a failure of not putting the right personnel to support President Trump, who has the highest threat level on him.
You know, Tony, I have to say, I'm still so confused about this. I understand that the local law enforcement that was helping to augment the Secret Service that day aren't trained at a high level. But apparently this shooter entered the building when law enforcement was in there. They saw him using a device to look at the distance between where he would be shooting and where President Trump would be speaking. People saw him climbing on the roof. People were screaming about that. I mean, you don't need training to know that. I mean, there were plenty of civilians in the audience who were like, something's going on here. So how do you explain that? Was it a matter of, thinking that maybe he was an official? Did some of the law enforcement officials think that this guy, maybe he was law enforcement as well? I don't understand the time that it took to react to this young man climbing a roof. It just help me understand that. Help me, and make it make sense.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying this. It helped me make some sense out of this, and there is plain and simple. That position on the rooftop should have been covered by an actual person on the rooftop. And what happens is complacency. By taking the person off of there, it is hot. It's a hot summer day. And they're seeing a lot of things going on, and they're not worried about it. But that's the thing what the Secret Service brings. We understand that no matter what the conditions are, no matter what, you have to stay up there. You have to hold that position. Now, a biggest thing that I've seen in multiple failures across when you're working with multiple agencies, even, military with, when I was with an agency, we worked in the military, it's communication. Because you have secured radios within one section, they're not going to give the full communication going out or all the radios out. So there's a lack of direct communication to the team. Now, I don't know exactly could that have been part of it. I suspect it is, because working within the government, I understand how some of these encrypted radios stay within. They don't want to really push them out. Because you're working on different communication systems, it causes a delay. I can tell you, working with the tactical team, SOD, we were all on the same channel. So I could communicate with every special operations division personnel instantaneously. We're hearing all the same chatter.
Tony Sabio is our guest. He's a former Secret Service agent. Tony, I have not heard one person in the last 72 plus hours come out with any kind of experience or expertise like you have and say, hey guys, listen, this is understandable. Here's how this happened. And this guy slipped through not because there was any negligence, not because there was any oversight. This just happens to be one of the things that didn't get looked at or didn't fall under the protocols that the Secret Service would normally had. Nobody has said that. Everybody has said what you have said, which makes a reasonable person think, wait a minute, the Secret Service has one job, and they failed. They failed in what you were saying here, Tony, and what other experts have said is a kind of blatant and obvious way. And that makes people wonder exactly why that failure happened. Is this people being overworked? Is it laziness? Is it just an oversight, or is there something more nefarious at play here? Because I ask that because it's a reasonable conclusion to reach, and therefore it needs to be addressed.
No, you are completely correct with that. There are these real questions that need to be asked. You have a president of the United States that's running the leading candidate for the Republican Party, has the highest threat level, and it's starting to come out that they have been asking for more resources. They do evaluations on the teams to say, okay, we need more.
Right, and real fast, I just want to, so everyone knows, because they might not hear the latest. Secretary Mayorkas said that under Biden's direction, they will now order a full Secret Service complement and protection to Kennedy and to President Trump, which means it was possible to provide more, but there was a deliberate choice made not to provide it.
That is correct. Now, to increase any Secret Service, I mean, President Trump had a skeleton crew like any former president, but he's not a former president, just a regular former president like Obama or George Bush.
Right.
He's actually running and has a high threat. The President of the United States can mandate at any time we need to increase security services for this particular candidate, particular person. He has the ability to do that. The failure of that is because of all the rhetoric that's going around. They want to put President Trump in a bad situation. And I hate to say nefarious things that this is exactly what they want. I don't think they foresaw something at this level would happen. I think they
just didn't care.
Right.
They just didn't.
Yeah,
it sounds to me like
exactly.
They didn't care, which is not necessarily willing something bad to happen. It's not caring if something bad did happen. Real fast, Tony, while I've got you, May 9th, it was reported by Bloomberg that a petition was circulating inside the Secret Service, and I'm going to read what it says. Concerns about, quote, a number of recent Secret Service incidents indicative of inadequate training, a double standard in disciplinary actions, and a vulnerability, quote, to potential insider threats that could pose a risk to U.S. national security. Do you know about that? Have you heard from your friends inside about what this pertains to? And can you shed a little bit more light on what those potential insider threats might be?
Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of the guys and girls in the Secret Service that I talk with still, great friends, and they work so hard, they're fed up. It's a lot of this woke culture that's coming into the Secret Service. It's reducing down the standards. It's creating an atmosphere of complacency that nothing's ever going to happen. When I was in the Secret Service, it was our duty to protect the president. We were trained that no matter what the political party is, we're protecting the position, and that position symbolizes America and the United States. So we were able to extract ourselves from that. What's happening is you're seeing a lot of this woke culture come in to Secret Service. You're seeing it in the military. You're seeing it in every agency. You saw it in the FBI. And once this woke culture comes in, it starts changing, and you start reducing down the standards and training levels.
So your understanding is that this petition was speaking more to all of the changes, all the woke DEI stuff that's been thrust upon them, that takes their eye off their main mission, and it ends up being a discretion and dumbs down the standards that they have always held themselves to. And when that happens, well, then Saturday happens.
Yes. Definitely Saturday happens, and then complacency sits in, and you get a travesty. Like
because it's communicated to the rank and file that their main mission is not to protect the president or whoever they happen to be protecting. Their main mission is inclusion and job opportunities and making sure that 30% of the workforce is women and all the things other than the main focus of what they're supposed to do. They have one job. And I'm sorry, Tony, I get animated about this because it's
no.
You address these things like the deliberate, sober professional that you are, and I don't. But I appreciate you joining us.
And Tony, we sure wish you were on that school board.
Oh my God! He ran against Carl Frisch.
I know.
What? I don't think you would have chosen those books to get sworn in on the kiddie porn.
I would definitely not choose those books at all.
Thank you, Tony. Good talking with
Tony.
you. It is 7:18. We went a little over there on Secret Service because it's kind of important.
Yes.
I think we take it more seriously than the head of the Secret Service right now.
I think so, too.
Here's Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.